equity in those houses, meaning those owners are more likely to be able to sell you their houses below market value. Because if they don't have equity, they can only sell it as much as they owe the bank, right? Do you get that? All right.
They can still make a profit. They can still make a profit on it too because of their equity.
So they can still make a
Housing
profit.
prices have gone up.
It's a win-win for them. That's exactly right, Tom. They can still make a profit because they have equity in the house. All right, the size of the house, I typically target, I do a 20-20-20 rule. I do 20 years or older, 2,000 square feet or less, and here in Austin, 200,000 or less. So the size of the house, 2,000 square feet or less, and the median selling price for the city I'm in Austin. Does anyone know what it is in Austin? I think it's 2 years ago it was near 200,000. I think it's lower than that now, isn't it? But let's just go with 200,000. All right? So 200,000 or less. I look for neighborhoods with a mixture of rentals in them. Why is that? What's that? Well, that's a good reason. Yeah, that's a great reason. What's another reason?
If it's all rentals, it's not going to be very well maintained.
That's bingo. You hit it on the head. So if a neighborhood has some rentals, they sort of trash up the neighborhood a little bit, which we want. Because otherwise, if the neighborhood was perfect, we wouldn't be able to invest in it, right? That's why I can't invest in Terrytown. All right, I've never done a house in Terrytown. And of course, the strategy in Terrytown is more risky. It's bulldoze and build new, and that's where we got the McMansion laws. But yeah, exactly. We want some rentals to trash up the neighborhood just a little bit to get in there. Sir?
Now, you don't mean apartments. You mean like rental houses.
Rental houses.
Or duplexes.
Exactly right. Duplexes, rental houses, and then the last two, which you probably can't see if you're in the back, sales activity and overall appeal. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying you buy houses where people want to live. Clay and I bought a house not too many years ago, and it was 300 yards outside of an area where we were buying a lot of houses and fixing up a lot of houses. Just 300 yards, but it was across 183, across the highway, and we thought, surely, if we bought a house for $42,000 in Austin, Texas, we'd have to be able to make money. Well, we didn't make any money on it. In fact, we lost a little money on that one. And the reason we lost money, nobody wanted to live in this neighborhood. I mean, no one was wanting to live there. And we just made a rookie mistake. We thought, we're getting it so low that it's got to be a good deal. Where was that? It was MLK, just on the other side of 183. A little pocket in there. Because we were buying off of MLK on this side of 183, and that was a hot little area back then. So you need to buy houses where people want to live.
How do you determine that?
Okay, ask your realtor for sales activity is a big one. Solds, comps. He'll run comps for you and give you a snapshot of the market. You can also call title companies will do that as well. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move fast. That's targeting the right neighborhoods. Here are the 3 things that we do to find investment properties. There are not 4. There are only these 3 things. It all boils down to this. Everything you hear of on TV, everything you see, all the infomercials, it's all this. To find a house below market value, you have to prospect, advertise, and network. And if are there any real estate agents that show hands in this room? Okay. Am I right? It's all about that. It's all about that. So prospecting has to do with physically searching or locating these houses. Advertising has to do with attracting. And networking has to do with being connected to one of these houses or one of these sellers through a third party. Okay, let's flesh that out just a little bit. So in prospecting, you're talking to a potential seller about a promising investment property that you located. And so you're scouring and combing through many different pools of potential investment properties to locate the most promising ones. So you could be driving through neighborhoods. It's actually the #1 way to prospect, to find these houses. Driving through these target neighborhoods. And what are you looking for? Show of hands. Huh?
Trash houses.
You're looking for disasters, right? Disasters. And there are signs, right, that houses are in these bad shape. One of them, they just look bad from the outside, but there are other signs, you know, the typical weeds growing up. What's another? Other things. Vacant houses you're looking for, right? Why vacant houses? Well, there's a problem usually attached to a vacant house, right? Because someone lives somewhere else and they're making 2 payments, right? Or they're paying taxes and, yeah. So driving through neighborhoods 4 hours a week. Statistics show that if you drive through neighborhoods 4 hours a week, you will find 1 house every 3 months to buy. That means if you commit to driving 4 hours every week, you can buy 4 houses a year that way. It is very, very tedious. I can't do it. Okay? I get real, you know, I'm on the cell phone, I've got my music going, I've got, you know, then all of a sudden I've missed 5 houses. And but I've got friends, my engineer friends especially, who love this. They're very, you know, meticulous in writing it all out. You know, they just write, you know, they scratch it all up, they take pictures, they've got the recorder going, you know, I'm just not that way. But there's a company called Homevestors. They're the We Buy Ugly Houses people.
Oh, yeah.
And they say, and I know some of their execs to confirm this, that they are the #1 home buyer in America. They buy more homes than any other entity in America. Homevestors buys, I know this because again I know these guys, 52% of their houses by this method of prospecting, just driving through neighborhoods, so it works. Okay? Advertising. Advertising is, I think, a lot better than prospecting because it works while you sleep. Right? You put the sign out, and you're instead of hunting, it's more like fishing. You just put that bobber in the water, and the fish comes, and you got it. The problem with advertising is it's expensive, right? Very expensive. So with advertising, you'd have to spend about $20,000 a year in postcards to get the same 4 houses. Okay? And the most effective way still for advertising is a 8.5 by 5.5 postcard, 4-color glossy, to your target neighborhoods, advertising that you are looking for disasters. Okay, and that still works. A lot of people ask me about the MLS and real estate agents to find houses for you. I would say that in a hot market, that doesn't work. In a market like we're in right now, that works a lot better. Because right now, there are more houses sitting on the market. And so this is one of those nice golden little moments where we can actually ask our real estate real estate agent friends to help us do the impossible, which is to find a house below market value. Normally, I laugh at that because we're asking the real estate agent to do the hardest thing about this whole business for us. You know, and it doesn't just usually happen. Okay? But now, in a buyer's market, you're going to see some of that. Now's the time.